Welcome to the Community Spotlight Podcast. My guest today is Kevin Kimmel from the Mid-Ohio Educational Service Center located in Mansfield, Ohio. Good to have you back, Kevin.
Good morning. It's good to be here.
All right. I wrote something down. You were not expecting this, but I have a fond memory of you, and you will always have a big memory of me, and I think you probably already know where I'm going. I know the exact first time that I met you.
Really?
Yes, it was August 19th, 2016.
Okay.
Because that was the first time that I'd stepped in to do what we called at that time the old Spotlight program.
Okay.
And you were the first guest.
Really?
Yes.
Didn't realize that.
Yeah. So that's been a little over 7 years ago. It's hard to believe we go back that far.
It is.
And
time flies.
Yes, it does. And it seems like in this last 7 years, our paths, whether you were at that time Bucyrus City School Superintendent, and I was doing another show, and then now everything changes, but we're still kind of together because you and I serve on various, I won't say commissions, but boards and different things together. So I appreciate having you on. I'm glad to get you back in the seat again.
Well, I'm glad to be here 7 years later. I'm glad that we can reunite.
Yes, because I tell you what, I could make a whole other set of comment, but I don't want to really eat our comment up. But let's just put it this way. Life is not stagnant. It moves on.
That's right.
Anyhow, Mid-Ohio Educational Service Center, I'm assuming that we've got some people today this may be the first time they ever listened to this podcast.
Okay.
What is the Mid-Ohio Educational Service Center? What do you provide? Because that is a question I do get asked from time to time.
Well, and believe it or not, I get asked that all the time as well.
Yeah.
So it's a unique it's a business, but we're in the educational business. So we provide support to school districts in several ways. First of all, our reach is 3 counties. Mid-Ohio came together 20 plus years ago. Each county, Crawford, Richland, Marl counties had their own education office. And 20 years ago, under Tom Ash's leadership, the 3 counties came together to join as one Mid-Ohio Educational Service Center. At that time, the state was encouraging counties to merge together so they could provide more in-depth service to a broader audience. So that was the original footprint, 19 school districts, 3 counties. And it stayed that way until the law changed about 13, 14 years ago that allowed districts to shop different ESCs every 2 years. Okay, so the ebb and flow at Mid-Ohio, we've been as high as 19, we've been as low as 10. Client districts, we currently are at 13 districts, which is 3 more than when I came there 5 years ago. And we intend to keep that going at least, if not grow it back up to the original footprint of 19. So the services that we provide school districts primarily are in the areas of what are called student-related services. When school districts need to have the support of speech and language pathologists for students that are on speech IEPs, occupational therapy, physical therapy, vision services, behavioral services, school psych services,
I was going to say,
behavioral services, all of that. And the reason we employ them is because a lot of our school districts are small and maybe they don't need a full-time school psychologist. Maybe they only need a half-time.
Yes.
So it's our job to partner that up with another school district's need so we can employ somebody full-time but have them serve maybe 2 different schools or 3 different schools. So we put the pieces of the puzzle together because it's not attractive for somebody to say, hey, I'm going to offer you a part-time school psych job. So I go down the road and get a full-time school psych job. So it's our job to put those pieces of the puzzle together. Right. We have close to 170 employees at Mid-Ohio. Most of them are out in those 13 client districts, but we also serve many schools and districts beyond the original 13 clients. So we do community schools. We support non-pub schools, parochial schools. We support schools that are not client districts, but they choose to get a service from us because it's something that maybe we can provide that their current ESC can't provide. So it's pretty diverse in what we do. Out of those close to 170 employees, probably a good 100 to 110 of them are never at Mid-Ohio's offices. They only report to the schools, but then we have to serve them if there's any needs they have with their employment. And then we are a very diverse organization because we have a great big conference center. that we host many
Yes.
events that generates revenue for us. We have long-term lease agreements with several entities that lease space at Mid-Ohio. We have Gold Digital Academy, which provides a non-traditional online program for students that wish to have that type of education. Gold, that's their main hub, although they cover about 6-county area. They have about 1,200 students that attend Gold.
Yeah.
One of their main hubs, the main hub, is there at Mansfield in our Mid-Ohio Educational Service Center facility. We have what's called a LEAP program, which is a behavioral program that's located in the building as well. That serves about 60 students that school districts contract with that company to provide specialized educational services for those students that maybe need a different type of setting for their education because they have some behavioral issues that keep them from being access to a traditional education. We have what's called the News Store, which is an arm of Jobs and Family Services. It provides brand new clothes to students and families in the county, and they get clothing vouchers. They come in, they do, so for example, they're doing some fitting days right now, so they get geared up for winter clothes. So and it's not used clothes; it's brand new clothes that gets donated from different organizations across the state, and that's a program that the community certainly embraces and appreciates being held there. But like I said, we don't run those three things. Right. We lease in space. Right. We also just recently added Lexington Preschool because they needed help with space. So we're leasing an area of the building for them to have preschool in our building, which is working out very wonderful. It's nice to see kids in the building.
Yes, and I'll tell you, really, I think of it as kind of like you're picking up a lot of services, like you said. A lot of these school districts, they don't need a school psychologist full time.
Right.
They need maybe that services part time.
Right.
Because and I don't know if the public always understand. There's certain things that these school districts they must provide.
Yeah, by law.
Yes, by law.
The students that are on individual education plans, that is basically a contract that says that the district shall provide these services.
Yes.
To make sure that the students have access to the curriculum in a way that is accessible to them. So there's a lot of decisions are made on where the appropriate educational placement for the student is. In other words, are they going to be educated in a typical classroom with support coming in? Do they need to be educated in a pull-out scenario where they have additional resources? There's a lot of decisions that go into each individual plan, and that's why the diverse piece of support that we provide districts.
Now, you have an upcoming leadership conference. I believe, is it November 15th?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep. So
enlighten us on that.
Yeah. So when I hired Dr. Burke, him and I worked together many years at Bucyrus, and then he had a short stint over at Mohawk as their school district superintendent at Mohawk Local. But after my first year at Mid-Ohio, I had an opportunity to bring Dr. Burke in and start a program called Leadership Supports. And Leadership Supports embraces not just working with our client district's administration and improving their effectiveness, but also student leadership. And so Dr. Burke started 3 years ago. It was called a Student Leadership Conference, where we bring leaders from all of our school districts. It's not just open to Mid-Ohio districts, it's open to any district in Crawford, Richland, Morrow County. So we bring student leaders together and work on sharpening their leadership skills so that they can come back and be leaders within their individual schools. It's been very popular. Last year we held 2 of them, one in the fall, one in the spring. We averaged 350 students on a full day leadership support conference. The kids really enjoy it. Last year we brought a Chipotle type luncheon, and the kids just really enjoyed that lunch.
They literally ate it up.
They ate it up. So our first one this year is November 15th, and right now school districts are signing up for that. Each district can send up to 5 kids per grade level, 9 through 12.
Okay.
So 20 students per district come together. The nice thing is these student leaders, while they compete against these students maybe on the ball field or different extracurricular and co-curricular activities, when they come that day, they know kids from neighboring school districts, and they get to spend time with them in a non-competitive nature. So it's really neat. It's a really neat opportunity for the students, and this is one of 2 we'll hold. We'll have another one in March in the spring. But really looking forward to that day. And we do a lot of events at Mid-Ohio that get kids involved. We help coordinate all the academic challenges.
Yeah, we're going to go down that road with you about academic challenge.
Yeah.
How does that all work for those that maybe
so
are unfamiliar with this?
So most, if not all, districts have a quiz team or some type of a competition team, academic team that do what's called a league during the school year, so that they compete again. Like one night after school, they'll be competing against a neighboring school district through an online type of academic challenge, quiz team type of venue. But then we bring them together to do the tournaments at Mid-Ohio. So we have several tournaments that we host, both in the fall and then again in the spring. We'll have a high school tournament coming up on November 16th, which is the day after our Student Leadership Conference, where we'll have close to 30 schools show up. And it's not just Mid-Ohio districts. We get Ashland, Mount Vernon. We get a number of districts that come, because there's not many of those events that are held throughout the region. So it's a really neat competition where the kids come together and compete. We also do a 7th and 8th grade tournament. We do a 5th and 6th grade tournament, and we go down even to 4th grade. So neat opportunity for kids to compete academically. Yes. We help coordinate that. One of our gifted leads coordinates all that work. We have a gifted team of 5 or 6 consultants that all pitch in and put together this effort. That also leads into our spelling bees that we host in the spring. Right. We have a county bee at all 3 counties, and then we have what's called the tri-county bee that comes together at Mid-Ohio. That the winners from each county come together and compete. Academics
and competition are wonderful things.
Yes.
They should not be shunned. We should be embracing these.
Yeah, the kids, many times, and it's not always this way, but you see kids that stand out on the athletic field. Mm-hmm. And it's not a fit for all students.
No.
But yet there's other venues that students can really step up and shine. And it's amazing to see the kids that come and compete at these academic challenges and the spelling bees that otherwise wouldn't be recognized for their talents and gifts. So it's a really neat opportunity.
Now I understand we've got something, I think this is rather historic, with one of the board members. And I know him, and I've known him for a number of years. He might not remember me, because this was probably back in the early 2000s. I remember talking with him, and I, in fact, I saw him at an event and talked to him here. Oh, probably in the last couple of years. But go ahead and enlighten us. So this is a big honor, by the way.
So first of all, Mid-Ohio is led by a 7-member board of governors.
Okay.
The reason for 7 is when the 3 counties came together 20 plus years ago. They decided on representation from the county based on the student enrollment at that time. So Crawford County has one of the 7 board seats, and that's currently held by Brad Geisman, who lives in Buckeye Central School District. He is our Crawford County rep. We also have one Morrill County rep, and that's Glenna Plotz, who is the retired superintendent from Pioneer.
Yep.
She lives down in Morrill County in the Northmore School District. But then the other 5 representatives come from Richland County. Okay, Mr. Doug Thaker, who is our board president, will be receiving an honor at an upcoming Ohio School Boards Association conference for 50 years of board service.
That's unbelievable.
It is unbelievable. And of course, Mid-Ohio's not been in existence for 50 years, but he sat on the Richland County board prior to becoming the Mid-Ohio board. He also serves as the board president for Pioneer Career and Technology Center.
Yes.
Has been on that board as long as I can remember. And then prior to that, he was also on the board, and I believe board president for Ontario Local School District. Yes. So all said, 50 years of service as a board member. We can't be more grateful. And so he'll be honored at a dinner at the Sunday event at the Ohio School Boards Association, being recognized for those 50 years of service. So we'll be putting together some press release information. There'll be a photo of him receiving a plaque down at the conference, and we'll get that out to the public as soon as that event takes place.
Yeah, so make sure we get something on it. We'll post it. So
perfect.
And we'll gladly. And like I said, I think I know he's always been involved in the community. He's about a better education, better everything. So. He's a wonderful person to be honored.
He's also pretty active with the Veterans Association,
yes,
and
he's a Korean vet.
Yes, and certainly has taken the lead, and I believe he's either what they call the chair or the president of that Veterans Association as well.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you, Kevin, our time goes when you and I get together.
Sure
but
does.
Do you got anything else you'd like to share this morning? I don't want to cut you off if you got a couple other things. that you'd
No,
like to
not at
share?
all. Mid-Ohio's here to serve our districts, and we're very proud of our staff that are out working in the districts. Very dedicated, talented staff. We get positive feedback every year on the job that they are doing. And so, we certainly take a lot of pride in providing the necessary supports and services to our districts, and that starts with building strong relationships and trust with our schools.
Well, I want to thank you again, Kevin Kimmel, Superintendent of the Mid-Ohio Educational Service Center in Mansfield, for inviting our listeners here to the podcast. I would also encourage, in my final thoughts here, if you get a chance, go onto their website. I think it's MOESC .net. Am I correct?
Yep.
Did I get that correct without botching it up?
Yes, sure is.
That is a good website. It tells a lot about their services, has a lot of news on there. And I've been on the site. Normally, I don't ever say anything about sites unless I've looked at them first.
Right.
So anyhow,
We try to get the good word out. Our goal is to put 6 positive news stories out per month. Mm-hmm. And those news stories don't always get picked up by everybody.
Right.
But what it does get is shared with all of our school personnel throughout the region. And then hopefully, if it's an internal and an external release, it gets picked up by
Sure.
and I know Crawford County Now and WQL has done a nice job picking up many of those stories.
well, I appreciate it. We are very pro-education and moving things forward. We want to see things move ahead in all of our counties here. I thanks Kevin. I'm glad to have you in here this morning, and wish you always the very best over there. It's a challenging environment today in education, a lot of changes, but we'll overcome, won't we?
That's right.
Thank you,
Thank you
Kevin.
very much. Thanks
You're
for
welcome.
having me.